everyone. Thanks so much for joining today. Hope you're having a great week so far. Welcome to Opsera's first webinar of 2026. Hope to do many, many more. This is called the Agentic Future Scaling Delivery, Securing Code, and Driving ROI in 2026. Before we dive in, a quick bit of housekeeping. Today's session is being recorded, and we'll share the recording with all the registrants after the fact or after the event. We'll also have a couple of interactive moments throughout the webinar, so please be sure to vote in any live polls that we're doing, jump in and participate. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, I'm excited to introduce Kumar Shivakula, co-founder and CEO of Opsera, who'll set the stage for today's discussion. Over to you, Kumar.
Thank you, Yusra. Good morning, good evening. Thank you all for joining the webinar. And we have two esteemed speakers, and glad to have them part of the panel. And I'm happy to share the stage with them as well. And before we dive into the agentic future, scaling the delivery and securing the code, and how do we drive the ROI, and I would like to introduce both Akshay and Sripath. And I'll start with Akshay. Akshay is currently working at VP of Business Applications, and he worked prior to Qualys, and he was at ServiceNow, done many wonderful things, and before that Adobe, and before that PwC. He's been on the block, and we've been exchanging a lot of notes lately about agents and agentic, and excited to have him part of the thing, and sharing his experience and expertise will be immensely helpful. Thank you, Akshay. I'd love to have you part of the panel.
Thank you.
And turn it over to Sripath. And Sripath is a well-accomplished leader, and he's currently working at Infoblox and Director of DevOps, and he manages DevOps for a few other functions. He also runs hackathons every year, and has been successfully running hackathons over there. And he's been fully into the agents. Last year was one of the topics they've done is agents and agentic as well. Prior to Infoblox, he was at Adobe and Intuit and Ericsson. And glad to have both of you on the panel, and looking forward to having a wonderful conversation, sharing your thoughts and sharing your perspectives.
Thank you, Kumar.
So with that, and I want to quickly talk about a little bit of background about what is this topic, why we are talking about it. If you take a step back, right, as you know, DevOps, DevSecOps is nothing new to many of the people, right? It's been there for almost like 10 to 12 years in the industry. And it was always a messy world, and I don't want to use it in the wrong way, but it was always a challenging piece. Operations, nobody wants to touch it. If you look at that, it was a culture. Then DevOps is something that DevSecOps. Imagine that DevOps is a freeway, a DevSecOps, right? And within that, it used to be a two-lane freeway. And developers, operations, quality, security, release managers, everybody used to fight for the space and try to operate within the two-lane freeway. Fast forward, and 2022, the code assistant Gen AI movement came in, and it just kind of gave an unparalleled advantage to developers, and it opened up widened the freeway from 2 lanes to 10 lane with respect to code assistants. Now the developers are able to produce the code faster than ever before, and as a result, your inner loop, which is the building the product, has improved so much, so velocity improved. But the activities that go followed by the outer loop, which is shipping the product, is continue to be bottleneck and the slowdown, because that is where the messiness comes in. There's so many integrations, so many tools, compliance, governance, security, quality, too many touch points, approvals. As a result, and it is slowing down. Even though you see the velocity is increased, it's slowing down. And how do we work? How do we enable the developers and the entire DevOps team to open up the freeway at the outer loop and widen the freeway so that the code that is generated can go in a secure way with guardrails without compromising the security quality, but in agentic way and agents? That's the idea behind this one, agentic DevOps. How do we move from SDLC, which is a software-defined lifecycle, software delivery lifecycle, and to the agentic lifecycle? Because SDLC is designed prior to the AI, and there is a shift in the industry with respect to agents. And now humans are coding plus agents are coding. Prior to that, only humans used to code. So the whole purpose of shifting from SDLC to ADLC is quite important, because you can't apply the same process, same tooling in the way you've done in the past. So you can only do that widen the freeway by having the new paradigm, new framework, and which is what we're going to talk about it. And we can just open up the conversation. And just want to share the perspective of that. And Akshay, Sripad, anything before we dive into the panel?
No, exciting topic to discuss today, and happy to be here. Thanks, Kumar.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
this is
Thank you.
quite relevant to the current scenario, and really we're all excited. And this is again going to will be a learning event for us also with the interactive discussions.
Okay, thank you, and equally excited as well. And I'll start with Akshay, and first, just generally with SDLC to AADLC, that when the code has been written so much as we discussed, right? From your standpoint of view, how is the delivery keeping up?
So what we've observed is AI definitely gives you code at a much faster rate, right? And but what happens is that, normally that code misses out, specific business scenarios or edge cases or adherence to any of your specific corporate standards. That is where we see delivery times, going back and inspecting the code or having to rewrite components of it to make it more robust, right? And some teams are able to solve this, putting governance models and all in place, but that still remains a problem to be solved at scale.
Okay, thank you. And the Sripad, from your standpoint of view, like the same question, SDLC shift to the AADLC and rise of the AI in code. How is the delivery keeping up from your experience and from your thought leadership?
Yeah, this is really a very good transition from our traditional SDLC to the AI-driven development lifecycle. However, again, delivery model must evolve at the same pace. Maybe like in my view, AI has accelerated in the generation of the code, but software delivery practice are still they're catching up. So AI helps us to enable the rapid generation of the features or the test, or it's actually in the refactor the code, but the existing delivery pipelines still it's remain optimized for the human-paced development. So it could be like for the CI/CD system or security reviews, compliance processes, test coverage validation. So pretty much it's like it's a challenging to increase the volume, and pretty much that's which I would say it's catching it up. Overall, I would say it's like AI helps us to write the software in at machine speed, but the still delivery is highly depend on the human speed.
Yeah, I think concur with both of you with what we are observing with other customers and other prospects and what we see with industry, right? As we discussed, the outer loop is the, if you like, inner loop and outer loop. And basically, you inner loop is the building the product that we talked about. It is code assistance. That's where the value comes in right now. Outer loop is shipping the product is where all the whole 9 yards you have to walk in with so many touch points, and that is not able to keep up with it. And obviously, I agree with you on both your point and Akshay's point. And what we design in SDLC, what we have not designed for AADLC, and the pipelines and the governance and the security reviews, it's all done in a different thought process. There's nothing wrong with it. It worked, continue to work for SDLC if you don't adopt AADLC, because when you bring the AI agents and along with humans, it breaks the current process, breaks it slow you down in the first place. And obviously, we definitely we can improve some of the processes in a people process technology, right? And then definitely, like I think we change the technology, but we have to go back and look at some people training the people and bringing some new process that goes along with it. Okay, that shifts me the next topic, which is the when we're talking about the shipping the product, right? Shifting the workloads. I know developers have been inundated with so many tools. They get burdened with so many of them, like continue to shift the workload. How do you like make sure that the governance and security is also been equally important for them and how they manage the process? And we don't want to burden them, but how do we make sure that in this from your thought process? Maybe I'll start with Akshay and go to Sripa.
Sure. Yeah. So I think that when it comes to developers and the burden of, like managing security and compliance, I think that, like what needs to happen is that it's a left shifting of those quality checks and all of that, further up the DevOps supply chain. But the key is, like, and I think where AI can really add value is basically automating those known security checks, like automating the obvious ones, the simple ones, so that it takes the burden away from the developers and allows them to focus on like the bigger problems and allows them to focus on the real complex problems. I think that is one that is going to be key basically as AI DLC starts to scale across enterprises.
Thank you. Thank you, Akshay. Sripa?
Yeah, I mean, it's again on the same line of Akshay. It's like this is definitely a good way of looking at the shift left, but we should be approach it in thoughtfully to avoid the increasing the cognitive load on the developers, and
Yes.
also we don't want to compromise on the governance and security. So overall, in that case, to make it is more effective, the first thing is the governance and security should be embedded as part of the platform. So that way, it will not even overload the developers. And also, developer don't we don't expect them to become like a security or compliance experts. Rather than they should focus on the development, developing the code. And second is about the automation, which again Akshay has mentioned about earlier. So it's just like automation across the things. It could be on the security scanning or the dependency checks, or could be on the CI/CD pipeline, compliance validation. So pretty much it's like it should be everything on the automation should be to take care. So essentially, it is more like defining the clear accountability and visibility, where developers should build the AI, but they shouldn't look at the AI risk.
Absolutely. I think I share the same sentiment that to summarize and what you both mentioned, also like just a viewpoint, we don't want to put a burden the developer because they are inundated with so many tools and so many screens and cognitive load is high. But in a way, how do we, with the agents, right? How do we bring that the security compliance frameworks to developer without them doing it? For example, if we ask the developer, you care about security compliance, everybody will say yes. They want to do it. Nobody wants to put the name on the leaderboard that, oh, my name is on the top of the list for the missing the security and compliance, right? But what we can do is what we are doing is to giving the agent that knows the security compliance and they work at the disposal of developer as part of the code generation, as part of the PR commit. So the agent can run along with the PR commit and so that it can take care of the things. And that is the thought process, and that is the way we can continue to bring the security compliance. For example, if we ask 6.2.3, then control of the SOC to type 2, and the developer would not remember. That's not their primary focus. So you don't want to burden with them, right? So how do we have the agent bring that into light and then take the human in the loop and solve the problem? So that's the one of the best way we see that is the industry is moving to it. We're also driving towards that as well, steering the people to keep human in the loop. Okay, and let's pause for a quick poll, and let you team to put a quick poll and have audience participate in the journey as well. Feel free to take the poll and share your thought process, and that will help us drive the next set of questions as well. The question is, what slows delivery of the most once the code is written? Security approvals, toolchain complexity, incidence response, remediation, lack of visibility. I love to see the poll output. Okay. Oh, the toolchain complexity, lack of visibility, and like security approvals is like not that. That's a third one actually. That's good. Toolchain complexity, because that's where many tools have to come together, post the outer loop, and totally understand and concur with them. Lack of visibility, absolutely. Thank you, audience, for participating. There was a good 17 people and the good poll actually. So thank you. And with that, and let me lead me to the next set of the question that this team just brought up, right? Now that you have so many agents are coming up, and within the outer loop, which is DevOps agents and automation workflows, we talked about it, and then like the agents skills, and then you have team space, many of the things, multiple DevOps agent orchestration, right? Are you using any agents in your current DevOps lifecycle? And if so, what's your learnings, what's your observations and learnings so far? And Akshay?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the biggest observations is that landscapes are becoming more and more hybrid now, right? We have third-party SaaS applications, we have microservices. However, when you're deploying business capabilities, you're deploying all of these different capabilities together, right? And it's funny that a lot of the audience said that toolchain complexity is like one of the biggest factors that slows delivery down. And what we notice is that as you're trying to deploy multiple applications and you're doing complex deployments, and even when it comes to incident triage and other logistics, all of this work gets sort of pushed onto developers, right? And that is where AI can actually play like a very big role. When you have like agents that have like specific skills who can basically, like run deployment, configure pipelines, run those deployments, simulate it, predict, what could potentially go wrong and come back and, like alert your developers or, potentially even, proactively go and fix it. All of that, basically plays a big role, and AI can drive big value over there. You of course still need a human in the loop for you to basically, you know, direct the agent as to like how you want something deployed or to validate the results. But I think that is where we see that agents can play a can deliver a lot of value.
Okay, great. And Shripad,
Yeah,
your
it's
thoughts?
like I completely concur with the what Akshay mentioned. It's yeah, DevOps agents is pretty much is like this is a new shift now from we are moving from the tool driven automation to the agent driven operations now, right?
Yeah.
So each the AI systems they are designed to perform specialized tasks. Maybe like one agent may be working can be charged for the pipeline configuration or security scanning, or could be on the environment provisioning. So pretty much is like we do have multiple agent DevOps systems. So each one has a specialized agents. But however, the key thing is about the collaboration across this internally between these agents. Like if you're looking at the coding agent, it generates or refactors the code. We are looking at the testing agent is going to create the test coverage or test automation. Security agent for the security scanning. Pretty much these are all the things, but the agent orchestration layer is pretty much important, which is going to orchestrate across these agents together. So overall, the success depends on the strong guardrails. Like it's like human in the loop controls for the critical decisions. Okay, so how we are going to hook each other, control them, take right decisions. So that way we have a better accountability, and plus also enable those agents at the right time. So that's again my 2 cents.
No, that's very important. I think we can use it smartly, that the agents can be run in the background. For example, Akshay ji, you brought up the example of running the simulation. Like before you go to deployment, and instead of wasting the time and pulling that many people in the release window, if there's a way you can run the deployment and do the validation checks, you're very confident in the release window that you get it. You minimize the downtime and minimize the challenge, the churn that happens, improve the customer experience, user experience, many of them. So absolutely concur with you. The same thing with Sripad, you brought up the you need to have a human in the loop. That's a decision, ultimate final decision has to be done. We can't just let the wild west type of situation agents can run in the background and without knowing anything. And also, we don't want to automate the bad processes as well, right? With agents that we have, and we need to make sure that we look at the process, whether the process that we've designed for the CI/CD or release management or for the outer loop activities that was done for SDLC, is it relevant for AADLC? If so, how do you put into the agentic hands and the agent's hands, and with the monitoring and visibility, along with simplifying the overall process. Obviously, this doesn't happen in a day, and every company you have to go through that, and you have to pick your model, pick your agent, the basic supervisor agent, and you need to have like some kind of vector database connecting the like English language into convert into more of a instructions to the agents. And also you need to be in a position to bring the accuracy, remove the hallucination. So in order to do this thing, each company have to bring their own stack, and that is where the agentic DevOps is all about. It's not just oh, you have an agent, you can download agent, automate magically it'll work. There is instructions, because it's like how does the agent operate like human brain, right? It's not as you can give a particular task to agent right now, or a combination of a couple of tasks. The agent can perform without you being there, and with some intelligence. When it fails, how does it react, and how does it process? So all the suggestions that you guys, both of them brought up, is definitely resonate. I think we have to think through this one. It's not like oh, there's AADLC is there, let's jump on it and we want to go there. You need to have a framework. You need to have some kind of a platform, agentic DevOps platform, and then you have to apply the agents. And anybody can create the agent nowadays. Agents creation is, with what we've seen, it's much easier. But how do you orchestrate? How do you integrate? How do you keep up with it? How do you make sure security compliance are there? How do you make sure that you have visibility and governance comes along with it? These are the things are much harder to do it when we have multiple agents working together. Like one human, but 10 agents plus 10 humans and 100 agents, that complexity is going to be even more. And yeah, it's fascinating to see how this is going to be. We'll show some of them, but I'll open up for Yusra to share another poll. Very simple question. So I'm sure like it'll be a good number of people using. I'd be surprised if it is in a lower single digits. It'll be definitely in higher 70-80% of them. Yeah, that's pretty even, and expected that. So thank you for all your audience. And I think yeah, it's about 53% known, 47% yes. I think it's we will have more of the people will start using it, and absolutely important and vital for that. So with that, like now the AI writing the code, like we know there's a lot of investment went into the AI and AI agents and the code assistants. And when it comes to the validation, right? So now you're burdening the developers, DevOps, release managers to do things differently. How do you measure the impact of AI investment and AI code assistance, and and how you can understand the velocity and agility, throughput, stability, reliability in the process of agentic world? Obviously, we had some measurements for SDLC with what's happening. What are your thoughts around that? Maybe I'll start with Sripad and come to Akshay. The thought process around that. What's your thought process around measuring this, the whole success around this one, ROI, any of those things?
Yeah, I mean, this is really a quite interesting question, Kumar, because now we know that AI generated code is become part of it's a mainstream. But however, we know that what are the challenges, especially when we look at the success. It's no more relating to the adoption metrics just at level of number of users or lines of code generated, right? It's like it could be the garbage in, garbage out. Definitely, like no one looks at all this measurement now. Right. So the key thing is about the value, especially where this stands in the value chain, either from the business outcomes or the sustainable ROI. Right. So maybe like a couple of things is like a lead time from idea to production. So pretty much finally it says that that's the value to the business, or percentage of the work which has been completely automated by the AI. Again, it's like a working model rather than just completion. Or maybe like we can compare with defects rates, AI generated versus the human written code. Or maybe the technical data. This is one of the key challenges. The technical data is in the manual area. This is pretty much is like one of the bigger challenge in the industry. Maybe these are a couple of things where we can look at that value. Overall, like the success is not on the way how much the code AI writes rather than how much business value the code is.
Absolutely. I think I'll turn it over to Akshay before I share my thoughts. Akshay.
Sure. No, I completely agree with Shripad, right? At the end of the day, it's not really about how much code has been generated or how many, agents that you're using in your landscape, but it's really about, what is the quality of the code? How stable is it? And how much of hours are we actually giving back to our developers by automating all of these activities, right? Or by automating these checks and all, so that they can sort of spend time on more high value activities, right? So that they can spend more time with like research, spend more time on like pushing newer, much more complex capabilities out. And I think that is really the key with it.
Yeah, I think you guys summed it really well, and I'll share the thoughts and also encapsulate your ideas and that you brought up. So, you fundamentally, yes, the shift that happened, and with AI, multiple code AI assistants, not just one code AI assistant. Right? There are in started with GitHub Copilot, then came Cursor, then came Windsurf and SourceGraph and Amazon Q, Gemini. Now we have you have a Cloud Code and many other things. There's so many of them, right? But everybody wants it's a tool in the toolkit for the developers, because we don't want to take away the choice, but we want to give them. At the same token, developers know what works, what doesn't work. We just have to understand that. Why we are measuring is because the money has been spent on the agents and the code assistants, plus also it has an impact on the bottom line of the company. So we want to see whether it's really helping the developers, developer experience, developer productivity is an important thing. In doing so, what are the key metrics, right, for the business outcomes, right? How do you tie this thing to the business outcome you guys mentioned? One is
Yeah.
obviously like are you able to deliver things faster than ever before with AI assistants and AI agents? If so, what is the baseline looks like? What's the benchmark looks like? Where are you in current benchmarking? Where you're heading in the first place? The second one is you talked about quality of the code. It's very important because you don't want to produce a code that it doesn't work in the production, create the bugs. And what's the customer satisfaction? Okay, ultimately, what the value is when you're delivering something to the customers, how do they know and what value? Because if your customers are opening multiple incidents post your delivery of software in the customer hands, that's not a good thing, because we don't want to do that. And even if issues are happening, how quickly you're able to resolve them? Like, is it, well, you can do the root cause analysis, whatnot, but how quickly you can resolve it? And then security as well, right? You want to make sure that known security challenges that we have should be addressed, especially the one of the thing that they can really help, the vulnerability aspect and the way the known issues and known bugs that we have if there's a way the security agent or something like in the form of security agent can help to remediate them proactively so that you can have the pipelines can be cleaner and then you can have a much more easier way to improve your stability, reliability, and also go to the production. You can measure these few levers. One is code assistance, then see whether your velocity is improving, and if the velocity is improving, what's the throughput looks like, throughput is there, how is the security quality, what's the bottom line. Like I think we can have a way to measure the framework for inner loop and outer loop. Happy to share. But before we do that, and I want to have turn it back to you for another poll question. Okay, I can see all the more prominent ones there. I think one is missing is Claude. I think they expected that. Like, yeah, let's go to Copilot cursor queue. Like it's one queue and majority of the Copilot, and that's been a pattern. And we see that sometimes it's a combination of multiples of them. At least two code assistants we see in the market right now in the companies. Any thoughts, any additional thoughts before we switch to the quick summary and the overall overview and then this whole agentic platform and to the demo and we'll give a quick demo and also a few slides. Any Akshay and Sripad, any closing thoughts from your side before we do that?
I mean, from my perspective, it's like AI is going to stay, and this is the time to even embrace it, adopt it, and this is the change. We should even accept it.
Yeah, totally agree with Shripad. It is here to stay. It's the next big wave right now. And the sooner we embrace it, the better. One of the things that we always say in software is fail fast. So, the sooner we embrace it and we know exactly what it's good at, where the guardrails need to be put, and the sooner we automate those guardrails, hopefully through Opsera, then like the better for us, and the more clearer the freeway becomes.
Thank you. With that, I'll do a quick so encapsulate all the thoughts and just to talk about the agentic thing and agentic DevOps and how shifting from SDLC to ADLC. And we'll share a couple of slides and just to bring that into the team and where we are, where we are going to be. So as you all know, thank you, Sripad and the Akshay for supporting and continuing to partner with us. So we have built a platform, and in a way, the platform works for all apps and all teams. And we have three modules: Unified DevOps Platform for SDLC applications, SaaS, and data ops. And that goes from the various languages, Java, .NET, Python, Go language, along with SDLC application with cloud or non-cloud and on-prem as well, and SaaS applications being the Salesforce and the Snowflake and Databricks application. The second part we talked about security auto remediation, which is what we have. The third one is code to cloud. How do we provide unified insights to measure the productivity experience with code assistance plus all of them? How do you bring the security quality business outcome all powered with Hummingbird AI? That is what we built, and we continue to embark on the journey. So what we have done is we bring the agentic DevOps, and agentic DevOps is now how do we give the additional assistance to the key people, in this case, developers, platform engineers, security, and various other people, and the Salesforce developer and other areas to have a various agents they can work at the disposal of them, right? To the DevOps infrastructure, security scanning, Salesforce, Databricks, code quality, security, and metrics and knowledge capture. So I would like to touch upon a couple of them, the way that we talked about some of the things here, and we'll show the quick demo as well. And I'll do the live demo and take my chances and do the live demo as well. And first one is the security compliance. We talked about it very much so. Imagine that we can shifting left to the security compliance at the time of the commit, so that let the developer not burden up with all of them, but be able to leverage the agent to do the activities much faster than they can ever do it, and bring the security by default and security by design principle, right? That is very, very important. And which is what we build this agent, and where in which we can shift the security compliance inner loop, and when the building the product, auto remediation by keeping the human in the loop, which all we talked about it. Another important thing is watermarking. We can show the before and after and show them the value to them, risk score, vulnerabilities, compliance, if you HIPAA compliance, SOC 2, value generated, time saved, and all of them, like what you used to take versus what can be done through agents, weeks to the minutes to hours, right? So that's the power that we can bring in. We can touch upon that. There are a few agents, but I just wanted to cover a couple of them just for the discussion sake today. Architecture analysis, the other thing is, when you generate in the code, is it really conform to your architecture? Because you can nowadays people we have a tendency to accept more yes from the machines than humans. We tend to agree with machines than humans. In this case, code assistants. We believe that what code is written by code assistants is golden, even though it's there. But you want to make sure that you have a valid, you have a specs. Are you based on a spec-based development? And if so, when you validate the architecture thing, you convert to that, you will avoid so many challenges during the building, during the shipping, and post shipping, right? And reducing the technical debt. You don't want to just take so many lines of code for the sake of accepting it. And what are the industry recommendations, best practices? And you need to make sure that those are skills are embedded in the agent, right? And quality and security posture improvement. And more importantly, dependency management to avoid the surprises, because if all of us write in the code and without thinking through how the dependencies are going to come in and we all stepping in each other, not going to be any good. So we have some agents, we built a bunch of agents in thoughtful way without burdening the developers, but giving them more control and be able to manage it. So that's one of the agents that we have. We can talk about it. Last one is AI reasoning agent for the insights for the management like you, Akshay and Sripath. You want to understand, okay, if I shift the dials, right? If I shift something, if I put another 10 people here, would that increase my velocity? If I increase the velocity, would that increase my security posture, quality posture? And if so, what is the predictability looks like? You can always look at the historical data, industry data, your data, and be able to predict that information as well. Those are the things that we have, and we will quickly share the demo. And before we dive into the demo, and I want to just start with agent and go to the reasoning agent, and just bear with me for 30 seconds and stop sharing. I'll come back in 1 minute. I will use the my terminal to show a few things. Hopefully you guys can see it. I'm trying to make it wider and bigger, my screen. So let me know when you can see my screen. So if you can see that I have a repo that has I have a GitHub WAF, which is a well-architected plan. I want to understand what before I made a change, I want to have a series of things. I went to the Cloud console, but these are the agents that Opsera has. About a bunch of agents we wrote, like about 50 of them, 50 plus of them. But for now, in the context of that, what we have, I will invoke the security scan just without knowing I'm a developer. Pretend that I'm the developer, and then I will be doing the security scan on this one. I can put more prompts. I just simply, for the sake of argument, and I just gave a security scan on this one. It'll ask for a few prompts. It'll ask, do you want to continue? Keeping the human in the loop, making sure that everything is done through skills that what we have learned as part of the process in the last 5-6 years of the knowledge and metadata and what we've learned, and we applied and we trained these agents with that. And now it goes to the various aspects of the repo that we have and give the recommendations, give the suggestions, and help me understand that, okay, it'll ask me to install a couple of things. So it'll go through the process. The idea behind this, within a 3-4 minutes, and imagine that if I were to do it myself, okay, if I not knowing what it is, it would have taken weeks and taken consult multiple people, talk to a few other experts, architects and whatnot. Here I'm able to do it with agent in a consultation way in a 3-4 couple of minutes. That's the idea behind this one. So while it is running, and what it is going to do is, I just want to quickly explain. It goes to the repo, look for the secrets, keys, passwords, and known issues, security vulnerabilities, and give me the compliance aspects that I care about it, and give me the summary before and after. Once it is done, I have a chance to either say yes to remediate. It also does the watermarking as well. So while it is running, I want to just shift the conversation. It takes 2-3 minutes. I don't want to take your attention, watch the screen all the time, but I know we have a short-term span nowadays, and they get distracted. But let me switch the gears to the reasoning agent. I can show you some of the things that we can do with reasoning agent as well. Give me 1 second. I will shift to my portal. So we talked about a few things here, right? The invisibility aspect of it, one of the things. So here we are. As a leader, you want to understand the impact of the co-pilot, and we talked about it. What is the acceptance rate looks like, adoption looks like? If so, what is my throughput looks like, say-do ratio, PR size? You want to understand the dependencies to all of them, right? From the inner loop to outer loop, and what is the velocity looks like, quality looks like. While you're doing that, it also gives an opportunity for you to understand, and based on the team and based on the comparison, which team is performing well, which team is not. It's not about penalizing it, just to understand where you need to put effort and what, and training and everything else, so that everyone is equipped. Here I come here, and if I go and ask the question, if I see that my adoption is at 25%, right? And our acceptance rate, if I increase my acceptance rate from 25.672% to 35%, what is the impact on my velocity? I don't know, but I'm just trying to see if you would increase another 10 points, what will be the percentage. So while we're doing it, I have hopefully it goes to the basically what if analysis as an executive, and why it is important. If you were to ask this question today, you have to wait for a few days or a couple of days for people to come back with an update. Here, it goes to the data that you have, it generates a summary and gives the information and what is the current benchmark, what's the new benchmark looks like, and how you can expect that, what would be the signals you see. Is it going to be positive or negative? And also gives the chart for you on dynamically, like how the trend looks like, and you can also have it, and also give the recommendations along with it. So it's all in a real time. This is something that we put a lot of thought into it, and we want to give the what if scenarios, plus also give because insights is all about like making the smart decisions and making intelligent decisions, right? You're having the data. How do you bring that? How can we help people like you to make informed decisions and with a high degree of confidence? That is what we've done. I just want to go back and show the question here. What I've done is, what is my deployment frequency? If I change it, what is my velocity, throughput, and quality? I didn't tell the team thing what is a deployment frequency, lead time, because these are all part of those 4 buckets. And defect density, code coverage. What will happen? So when you increase the thing, lead time may decrease because and you are pushing it, and why the baseline to this one, right? And defect density may decrease because you're rushing it, you are increasing the velocity. And what would be the trends? Like you can always play around with these all age and data graphs. You can understand the view of that, and where you can see the code coverage may be there, defect density, PR merge, and what are the recommendations and what are the follow-up questions. You can always ask the questions to understand even more. So, and similarly, you can go to that, just close the thing. I can go back to, you want to understand the Copilot metrics. You want to understand what Copilot is doing and how the Copilot is adopting. You just have a way to see all of them in one place, and you can also have a usage pulse, code-based activity, Copilot usage, and executive summary. And while this is loading, I just want to go back to my agent that ran, and it completed the work. And as you can see, it went to the score. I was not taking the screenshot for the sake of the screenshot. So it gave resource, risk score, breakdown, secrets, credential, input, validation, dependencies, logging and monitoring configuration. It gave the risk aspect as well. It also gave the compliance aspect, SOC 2 controls. What is that I can do, the SOC 2 controls, and the PCI, and if you were to follow any of them, right? I can just take the prompt. What it is doing is, I didn't ask the question, it already there. This is the part of the skill that we have. Fix the critical issues with npm install. It automatically install that, and it will ask you to commit the code and go to the next step. So you get the understanding. We just want to give you the flavor of how this is coming, and our agent can help developers. All it took is, if you really think about it, it took 3 minutes for 40 seconds to go through the whole process, which would have taken at least a couple of weeks for you to do it as a developer to get through the entire summary.
Yeah.
Again, we have the demo, and we can sign up for demo. I can show many of them, but I think I don't want to, given the interest of time, we want to open up for another poll question, or maybe like open for Q&A and have people talk about it. And if you're interested in signing up for the demo and agents, and feel free to sign up. And the way you can track the agents is the last thing I will share the information. When you can sign in, I sign in my thing, and as soon as I sign in, I can see the full-on view in terms of like where it's a very self-service portal. How many agents we have, what's documentation, dashboard looks like, how many agents we have. You can see all the agents. You can control the permissions as an administrator, who gets to see what, and usage and API keys, and then billing aspect, and what are the groups. All these access controls, you can control it. Whether you want to have access to all the agents or some agents, you can manage it effectively. Not everybody should run everything, and you should be in a position to manage it. And all of them will be coming in the next few days, and excited to share the information with you guys today, sneak peek of it. And with that, I'll turn it over to Yusra to have a next set of activities to run the next set of activities. Thank you.
Alrighty, yeah. And if anyone wants early access to the agents, we have that QR code that we can pull up as well at the end. So you can be first on the wait list for anything Opsera related agentic. We'll be sure to send that to you first. And we actually have a couple of questions in the chat that we can kick off with, but one of them is, what are the productivity metrics you track in your teams and leaders, and how often do you monitor them?
Maybe repeat the question to Akshay and Sripad. So hopefully got it. Yeah.
Yes. What are the productivity metrics you track in your teams and leaders, and how often do you monitor?
So I think I can go first. I think the biggest productivity metric is really hours saved per developer, right? And the way that we monitor it is there are different ways. I mean, as you size stories, if the AI is effective and it's actually working, then your story estimates come down. So which means that you're able to get through more of your backlog much faster. So that's one metric of it. The other thing is just turnaround time for like incidents and defects and things like that. If they are able to basically go through that cycle through it much faster and deliver it much faster, that becomes the second metric to track that.
Thank you. Sripad, do you have anything from your
Just
side?
yeah, adding to the Akshay's one. I mean, it's just again a couple of the AI agent what we built accordingly. That's we've been defined our metrics. So one of the agent is about the code review. Pretty much we use the Copilot for the code review purpose, and here it's like pretty much it's like the metrics is not on the how many code review it is given, how the reliable this code review is. It's just more like it's giving the proposals, but would that really a valid with the how many such code review comments the our developers have accepted it. That's one of the metrics we track it just to see the value of it. Similarly, on the security scanning side, it's just like again how many the vulnerabilities is identified, right? So that way, it's like each individual based on the agent, we define internally we defined our metrics.
Yeah.
And maybe on a similar note, which engineering metrics become misleading or dangerous in an AI-driven delivery model?
I think Akshay and Sripad touched upon it. I'll let them chime in again. So they touched upon which are the metrics you should avoid and mislead the one you wrong signals.
I think it goes back to Shripant and I were both talking about the same thing, right? Don't look at the number of agents that you're running or the amount of code that you're generating through AI. Those are like the most. I mean, in the name of adoption, we've always seen tools being pushed, and you have to use this, you have to start using this, but those are like the wrong metrics. Maybe it's good to show those numbers to sort of gain like a positive push during adoption and everything, but the ultimate outcome, the ultimate number that you're measuring for value should be different.
Yes, the completely agree on Akshay's one. It is not on the quantity rather than the quality. That's when you look at it.
Thank you.
Another one we have is, what new risks does AI generated code introduce, and where do traditional AppSec processes fall short?
So Shreepa, do you want to go first on this?
Yeah, sure. Yes, I mean, pretty much just like, I mean, again, I take back the same thing to the the code quality. It's pretty much it takes. I mean, the one of the key things is again about the repository, how strong our repository is about, right? So that's the one of the risks. Like we need to have a very good repository with very strong. I mean, the quality code, which helps to even get the right proposals, the right suggestions, which we can accept it.
Yeah, and one of the things that I touched upon earlier was also like AI generated code introduces the risk of sort of missing business scenarios. You could not be, it has the risk of not following the right, security patterns or something, for example. So, like if you have not trained it enough, if you have not, basically told it that there should be no hard coding of values or passwords or anything like that, that could be a risk. The AI will just assume that that is something it can run with and, start to build that code out.
Yeah, I think that's the one of the reason which we talked about in the previous room, not to jump in and from the talk about from Opsera standpoint of view. In this example, that very example that you talked about, how do we avoid these things ahead of time so that we can you can generate in the code not from ether, right? It's reading the code somewhere. It knows the code from the past history, the way it's been trained, way it has been generated. Now you need to know, treat the code that is written by AI in a similar way as humans and put the guardrails and checks and balances. All it is doing, spitting more code than ever before. And you need to understand who is using it, who is delivering it. Because at some point of time, you can't, you need to put a name next to it. This agent is not committing the code for you. Human is committing with the help of agent. So make sure that take the responsibility, ensure that the commit that is happened is fully validated with quality, security, compliance. And because if not, it has a implications to the in the pipeline, implication the day to operations as well. So you have to monitor that, monitor for the KPIs for the security and the risk that are imposed, known issues, known vulnerabilities, and quality issues. Important quality aspect is very, very important. And the quality of the code is so paramount now than ever before, technical debt and quality of the code.
Yeah.
Hopefully that addresses the question.
Yes, we actually have a couple more in the chat. What techniques did you find useful to contain the adversarial dynamics and behavior of agents?
I think probably I'll take it and let Akshay and Sripa chime in. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I think they both are Akshay and Sripa. They've been using it and they know the dynamics behind this one. So you want to contain and sell. You want to purpose build agents, right? You don't want one agent does everything. You need to make sure that give the command and control to the agent with the context that you have, with proper training and proper guardrails, and otherwise with proper permissions along with it. You don't want to just give the access to the everything and anything, and you will not be able to control and understand. And you need to start with something small. I'm not saying that don't do it. That's not my suggestion, and that's not our suggestion. So start something small, understand, see what is that agent is capable of doing it, and it figures it out through the skills and best practices. And it's not like it is an automation, right? It's learning every day. It's learning, and you understand the patterns and behavior, monitor them, and keep shifting the goals, because just like humans, we have to shift the goals to the agents as well. Every now and then, you need to challenge and put the goals, and automatically you can measure them based on the goals and based on the behavior. You can tweak those things, and if you give the full on control to one agent from day one, you without having a visibility, without having the guardrails, without having the validation things in place, it can cause damage for you. And as a result, that's the reason we've broken into multiple agents. That's the idea, and orchestrating the agents is very, very important. That's a next set of activity that is happening in the industry, which we are also in the forefront of this one, and being able to drive that. So I'll let Akshay and Sripat chime in as well.
Yeah, I mean, especially this is perfectly right, Kumar. Again, in my organization, I usually I follow two techniques. One is about the the exhaustive testing of those the agents before even rolling it out. And second is it's not a big bang rollout rather than just a phased wise. So these are the two areas which ensure that uh, the whatever the agents we are going to even adopt or we're going to roll it out, it's effective, then it's been certified. That helps us to give the more confidence to roll out to the wider the organization.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Like in my experience so far, back to the point that Kumar was making, the more specific that you are with agents and the more, the more specifically you can direct them towards a certain task, and the more context you can give them as to, in what context do you hand off to another agent, like that basically prevents that adversarial nature of what you're talking about. Otherwise, one of my first AI experiments in a past company, we basically built an agent that tried to do everything. And it went and made its own interpretations and took data and did some stuff and gave bad outputs. She produced garbage in, garbage out earlier. And and we discovered that over time, like as you sort of take agents and probably there's a similar pattern when it comes to microservices or the workflows from the no code era. The more you break it down to the right size, the more you're able to give it very specific requirements and know exactly when to hand off to the next agent or workflow, whatever. The more the more durable that entire ecosystem is. And it while it might have too many agents, at least each one has a specific objective, so it becomes easier for you to track. That's what you've seen.
Thank you. And I know we are coming to a great discussion to an end, and appreciate Akshay and Sripad for wonderful insights. And thank you for both of you for your time, valuable time as well, and sharing your personal experience along with practical experience that you had to go through in the last few months. With that, I'll turn it back to the Yusra for closing thoughts.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, especially for all the questions in the chat. It was a very active chat this webinar, so appreciate your engagement. I also sent the link for any early access to our agentic roadmap for Opsera. That link is in the chat, so if you fill out that form, you'll be the first to know. We have an AI benchmark report that's coming out very, very soon, and so we'll be sending that access over to you if you fill out that link. So just be sure to stay tuned. We have a lot of webinars coming up as well. And thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you to our panel, our speakers, and the engagement from the audience. Look forward to talking soon.